El Enemigo. Um, the idea of El Enemigo wines is to do something completely different from what Catena is doing with the wines. It's important for us to show you that difference, especially if you're going to offer both wines to certain clients. The idea is with El Enemigo, to focus on soils. Everything in El Enemigo will be about soils. So that's the reason why we have that beautiful picture in the first slide. It's a project between Alejandro Vigil and Adriana Catena. Both of them are free souls, and their idea was to do something different, focusing on soil and in what each type of soil that we have in Mendoza can offer, and the difference that can make in a certain varietal, as what we will see in the Bonardas. So, well, this is the most important thing here. This is a little map of Mendoza where you can see the different types of soils that we have. I can say that it's the most important thing about Mendoza, the diversity of the soils that we can have, and in a very small parcel, we can have different mixes, different type of soil. So this is what we are going to talk about with El Enemigo, and especially with the Bonardas. Here you will see the eastern side of Mendoza, San Martin, Junín, Rivadavia, where we source the grapes for the four the four Bonardas that we have. And also El Enemigo Bonarda, which is also from Rivadavia. Let's see the differences on the portfolio. We have El Enemigo, which it's composed by El Enemigo Semillon, Chardonnay, Syrah Viognier, Malbec, Cabernet Franc, and Bonarda. That Bonarda that we have there, that I think that you have it there to taste it, right, Jorge?
We have only the single vineyard Bonardas.
Okay. Okay. So that Bonarda that we have there, it's from a very old vineyard, 100-year-old vineyard, and it's 85% Cabernet, 85% Bonarda, and 15% Cabernet Franc from Gualtallarí. That was the first Bonarda that we released many years ago, and Alejandro's idea, even if El Enemigo wines is focused on Cabernet Franc, we are also focusing on Bonarda, because of what Bonarda represents. That's a very interesting thing for us, because for many years Bonarda was considered as a cheap grape. In many wines, like table wines from Mendoza, were made with Bonarda. But the interesting thing about this grape was that because of the way that it was elaborated, it was usually a kind of wine that it was especially to consume that year. You couldn't age it because it wasn't harvested in the right time, and the process wasn't the same that we have nowadays. So we want to show the huge sorry, I can find the word, potential of this grape, with El Enemigo Bonarda and with the Single Vineyard Bonarda. So let's move to the next one. You have four Bonardas. In this case, those Bonardas are from vineyards that are not property of Alejandro or Catena, except from one. The other, let's say that the four Bonardas are from different producers, and what we do is to buy those grapes, and to elaborate the wines in the same way. That would be the idea of these wines, very old vines, and then the process will be exactly the same. Same thing that what we do with the Gran Enemigo Single Vineyards, but a completely different concept in this project. So Jorge, you asked me a couple of days ago about the labels. What you have nowadays, it's it will be 2017 and 18. I'm not sure if we will have it in 19 as well, but I hope not. We are developing new labels for these wines that will be amazing, but we have to adjust some details, so we won't have them, I think, in the next couple of months.
But the vintage 18 is the one that has all label there.
Sorry?
Vintage 2018 is the old label. And
exactly, 18, it's the one that you have it in the presentation. Okay. Exactly.
Okay.
Probably 19, but I'm not sure. I hope so, but I don't know. The idea, the original idea of that label was to make it easy to remember. Having like the drop big, it's not as subtle as it was as the other label of the other Bonarda. Well, a little bit about the Gran Enemigos. The idea is to do something similar to what we have here with the 4 single vineyards, but with the Bonardas. That's the reason why I put it in the presentation. Something interesting about the report, harvest report of 2017. It was a very special year, as we had frost in, I would say, most of Mendoza. We had an earlier harvest compared to the 2016, and that is a very important fact. All Bonarda harvested by February 5th. That was amazing. Imagine that it was a very, very short growing season.
Bonarda, Constanza, no te escuchamos.
We can't hear you.
Constanza, no te escuchamos.
I'm gonna pause. I'm gonna mute.
Yeah, it's weird. It doesn't say she's muted. Yeah, there you go. Welcome back.
Okay.
Yeah, now we have you. Sorry, so you didn't listen.
Okay, no te escuchamos antes de lo que dijiste.
Okay. Well, okay. So, we will. Do you have any question of what I said before, or let's move to each wine?
Well, I do have a question overall on the single vineyard Bonardas. Just about the bottle, the shape of the bottle, it's very different.
Burgundy.
So why did you decide to bottle in burgundy bottles versus the Bonarda bottles that are in?
That's El Enemigo, Camila. El Enemigo wines, it's crazy in all of what we do, unexpected, different. In some way, I would say, well, the idea is to break every concept, preconcepts, but in some point, let's say that what Alejandro wants to show, it's of course that it has nothing to do with Burgundy, but it's a very light wine, very easy to drink wines. So in some point, the idea is we won't compare it with a Pinot, of course not, but in some way, it's something that we do and what we say to our customers, to our clients. It's a very interesting wine to start drinking red wines, because it's very easy to drink, floral, fruity, but not that much. It's a very light wine. So in some point, people can relate it to a Burgundy wine in terms of how easy to drink it. Mm. So, let's start with El Enemigo, El Barranco. Mm. The four.
Conti, are we going in tasting order in a way that you would line them up in a tasting with the lightest to most full body?
Exactly. Yeah. I would like to, if you can taste them in the same order that we have the wines in the presentation, it would be El Barranco, well, Mirador is the one that you don't have it, Esperanza, and Los Paraísos. Mm? What is interesting about these wines is that if you will taste them side by side, as you are doing now, you will find many differences in the wines. But what is great is that all of them are very easy to drink. Mm? Some of them are more like more fruity or more floral, but all of them are very, very easy to drink. Mm? That's the idea of these wines. So what we do is once that we vinificate them, that it will be exactly the same for the four of them, we will age them in very old oak. Mm? The idea is that you can feel the oak in the wines. Mm? The idea with all of our wines is just soils and fruits. Mm? Wines that you can drink 1 glass, 2 glasses, a bottle, and maybe a second bottle. Mm? That's the idea with all of the wines of El Enemigo. Mm? So let's see the differences in these wines. El Enemigo del Barranco, it's from Junín. Junín, San Martín, Rivadavia, eastern side of Mendoza, 600 meters, so really, really low, and very close to the Mendoza River. Mm? So all of them will have sandy soil with mixes of other type of soils. In this case, for example, we have sand and river stone because it's really, really close to the river. Mm? So we will have very warm soils. Mm? And that's the reason why all of the Bonardas are cultivated in pergolas, just to have some shade over the clusters. So what do you find there? Tell me a little bit about what you find in this Bonarda.
I found, since I have the wine, very good acidity, a lot of red fruit, but I did feel a little bit of the alcohol. Even though it's lower alcohol, you can feel the alcohol in there. In wine.
Well,
what does El Barranco mean?
El Barranco, it's the name of the region. It's like how would you say Barranco, Jorge?
It's like a small fall.
Exactly.
Like,
yeah.
So it's like a small one. It's not really the deep, but it's like a It's like a fall.
Yeah, exactly.
Like a cliff, yeah, but not that big, not that high.
Exactly. But
won't get hurt.
The four names are the names of the. It's not like a region. It's not like IG. It's a tiny place, less than a district. So that you mentioned, Jorge, it has a reason, and it's something that we replicate in all of our wines, and it's that we never harvest everything at the same time. What we do is to harvest in different moments, just to have different expressions of the same vineyard. So the Bonardas will be harvested in 3 different moments, 3 different passes. So in the first one, we will have higher acidity and lower sugar, and then we will do another pass 1 week after that and another week after that. So in 3 different weeks, we will have different expressions. We will micro-vinificate those different passes separately, and then we will blend them. So by doing that, you will find what you said, a good acidity and alcohol as well. So it will be fresh fruit and ripe fruit all in the same wine, like wines with different layers instead of just one expression. That's what we do with all of our wines. By doing that, we can have more complex wines, but very balanced, well-balanced wines. Alcohol will be the same or kind of the same in the different vintages, around 13.5 to 13.9. Beautiful acidity, considering that it's the Bonarda from eastern side of Mendoza. And well, in case of the Bonardas, as I mentioned you before, all of these vineyards are very old vineyards, between 60 to 90-year-old, very old. Of course, that some of the plants have been replaced, but all of them are more or less of that age, which means that we have low yields there and concentration. Any question about this one?
I have a question. It's kind of about all of the Bonardas within this single varietal landscape. As far as I've been trying to describe these as like, because price point wise, it feels like it's an entry into El Enemigo. However, it's much more of a deep dive into Bonarda specifically. Is that something that you guys put together in order to showcase Bonarda and its versatility based off of terroir? Or, you know, what was the inspiration, I guess? Because I try to explain it to people and I keep saying, well, it's entry level, but it's really not. So if you could help me understand, that'd be great.
I wouldn't say that it's entry. I mean, in price, it's entry considering and compared to El Enemigo line, but it's not the idea of the Bonardas to be like the entry of El Enemigo. The idea is to show the potential of this grape. As I mentioned before, for many years it was considered as a cheap varietal. Nobody wanted to drink Bonarda. It was a blending grape. It was something not interesting at all. So the idea was to show that we can have beautiful wines made with Bonarda, and show how versatile can be this grape, depending on where is its source. And that's the idea of these wines. It's making focus on the grape and on the differences that the different type of soils can offer us. But basically to show that, and that's what the points can show us. For many years, trust me, in Mendoza, nobody wanted to drink Bonarda. And
that sounds very on brand for El Enemigo, to take something that nobody wanted it to show how good it could be. So I like it.
That's what we do with the Cab Franc. That was the idea of the whole project. It was a blending grape. It wasn't popular at all in Argentina, and we decided to make a whole project focus on Cab Franc. And you saw what happened, 100 points. And nowadays, there are many wineries producing Cab Franc. We can show the world that we have a huge potential for different varietals in these different soils that we have in Mendoza.
Constanza, I have a question about Bonarda just in general. Like, we're going to taste through how it tastes like vinified, but how does it behave in the vineyard? Is it an early ripening grape?
Sorry. Can you repeat? There was an incoming call. Can you repeat, Camila? Sorry.
Yeah. How does Bonarda behave in the vineyard? Is it an early ripening grape? One of the later ones? When do you think it compared to Malbec and the Cabernet plants that you have?
No. what is special about the Bonarda is that it has a very long cycle. So that's the reason why most of the Bonardas are grown in the eastern side of Mendoza, very low altitude and very warm weather. Nowadays, there are some wineries that are producing Bonardas in higher vineyards, but it's not the same expression. I would say that more than 85% of the Bonardas from Mendoza are from the eastern side of Mendoza. It has a long cycle. It needs many days of sun, many hours of sun. And the bad thing about that would be the lack of acidity. That's the problem of the Bonarda. That was the reason why for many years it was a wine that it was to be consumed during the year. What we do by harvesting a bit earlier allowed us to age it at least for a couple of years. And in the case of El Enemigo Bonarda, by adding that 15% of Cab Franc from Gualtajari, we can age it for a longer time. But that's the thing about the Bonarda. And something interesting is that and something that people usually are a bit confused at, is that it's not the same Bonarda from Piemonte. It actually has nothing to do with that. It's Charbono, which is a French grape, or Corbeau Noir. But in Argentina, for many years, people thought that it was the same. Then, after some DNA research, they realized that it was actually Charbono. But now it's like a bit late to tell everybody, hey guys, it's not Bonarda, it's Charbono. So we call it Bonarda Argentina.
What about, are you guys dropping a lot of fruit, doing a lot of green harvesting, since it is a high yielding variety?
Sorry, can you repeat, Camila?
Are you guys doing a lot of green harvesting or to manage the yields?
We don't need to do it because of the age of the vineyard. The yields are very low, so we don't need to do it. I would love you to come to Mendoza and see that vineyard because, well, all of them, the 4 of them, there are not many clusters in each plant. So it is already controlled because of the age of the plants.
Thank you. This is awesome. The first one so far. El Barranco.
It's really nice. It's really nice.
Which one should we pour next? We don't have all of the single vineyards, but the next one I guess would be La Esperanza, or are we missing the one that goes in?
The one that you don't have, it's El Mirador. El Mirador is from Rivadavia. It will have a slightly different type of soil. It will be most sandy, but deep clay as well. The expression would be more like raspberry. It will be lighter in some way compared to the previous one. I hope that maybe next year, maybe next time you can taste it. It would be interesting, but if I can,
we're gonna get it this week. It arrives this week.
Sorry.
We will get the wine this week.
Okay. That would be good. The differences are not that huge, so that's why it's interesting to taste them side by side. Then it depends on each customer, each account, which one you will offer to them. It's Bonarda. In some point, the 4 of them are Bonardas. So that's the reason why it's so interesting to taste them side by side. Sorry. Okay, guys, sorry about that. A very busy day here. Okay. Then we move to El Mirador. No, La Esperanza, sorry, that's the one that you do have there.
Yeah.
La Esperanza is from San Martin. In that wine, soil will be different. It will be mostly sand. For me, it's one of the most beautiful Bonardas. And if you see scores year after year, it's the one that is most consistent, I would say. But again, it depends on the palate. It's so personal. So I don't know, guys, if you have any question about this. There is not a lot that I can say about a tasting note about this one. I want you to taste it and tell me what you think about that.
I wish I had it to taste.
Oh,
that's okay.
You don't have them today, Brandon.
No, I didn't have them today. I wasn't prepared. It's my fault. But I will certainly get some samples moving to me and to Javi.
Yeah, we're gonna steal some. We're gonna steal some from Virginia.
Okay, that's great. Yes, but because
Come to Miami and have them.
Let's go all of us to Miami.
We'll see you in an hour.
Yeah, that would be great. Of course, that the four of them are very different, but it's so subtle at the same time.
Let's go to Chachingo. Let's go to Chachingo.
I would love that. I would love to receive you here again.
Me too.
That would be great.
This one is has like a little bit more tannin structure than the first one that we tasted. It's definitely
La Esperanza.
La Esperanza, yeah. Definitely much not drier, but yeah, a little bit more tannic. The first one is very easy drinking. This one is too, right? The difference are subtle, like you said, but this one's definitely, I feel the tannin's a little bit more present here.
Yeah, you're so right. And in the last one, you will feel a bit more.
I don't think I've ever been through a Single Vineyard Bonarda tasting, so this is a treat, and the first time. So it's very cool.
That's so great. It's kind of hard to find the four of them in just one account. So that's what I mentioned, that the idea is that if you can show the four of them and see, depending on to what it's focused each account, which one you will offer. They are all, the important thing about this is that all of them are very easy to drink, and it's a very good choice for people that are starting to drink red wines or that want something very very soft, very smooth. So that's the idea of this Bonarda.
Even like the first one, I feel like you can serve it a little bit slightly more chilled.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, absolutely.
I mean, this is the perfect temperature that we served it, but it could stand even to be like a little bit colder, and it's because it's round, right? It's not going to shut down. Yeah,
absolutely. It has enough aromas to chill it a little bit, and you will continue feeling and discovering the full expression of these wines. So yes, you can do that. That's what we do here.
You do? Yeah, I imagine.
Yes.
Outside of the patio, slightly chill.
Yeah, and it's a good option, a good choice to replace a white wine as well. Yeah, a summer and spring wine, it's great.
They're summertime right now.
So I think these wines, what would be the perfect pairing? And like something gamey, I think would be awesome. Like something with lamb or something with wild boar.
Yeah.
What do you guys
also? Well, here at Casa Vigil, we do something nice that we let people decide their pairings, like tasting each plate with the different wines and discovering which is the best pairing for them. And something that we do, we usually suggest these wines for dessert with dark chocolate. It's amazing. It's a beautiful combination, Bonardas and dark chocolate, because of those violets and roses notes.
We just poured los paraísos.
Paraísos.
Yeah.
So los paraísos is from, where is it from?
So los paraísos for me would be the more complex in some points, more concentrated. It will have that like medicinal note, like mint, like how do you say this?
Eucalyptus.
Exactly.
Yeah.
More herbal in some point.
Is this from La Vendimia, Constanza?
Exactly. Yes.
That's where the house, the Latina house, where we do when they come. We sleep here. La Vendimia. It's Rivadavia.
El Mirador and Los Paraísos are from the same region. It's not exactly the same vineyard. It's same area, but two different vineyards.
So,
but remember that the four of them are pergola.
Did you say that all 4 single vineyards are made in the same way, and the only difference is their terroir?
It's not just terroir, but also the people who have grown these vineyards. All of them are very old producers from the eastern side of Mendoza. They have been working with those vineyards for many, many years. And it's